Welcome to Building Belmont. I'm your host, Keanu Trujillo. If you're a consistent and loyal listener, then I want to welcome you back. Thank you for joining us again. And if it's your first time or you're new to the area, let me be the first to say welcome to Belmont and the surrounding area. Today, we're back on location at an absolute gem of a company with amazing leadership with hearts of gold. We're at GiGi's Consignment Boutique. If you've been in downtown Belmont, you knew once you watched us on YouTube. If you're watching along, exactly where we are. For those of you that are listening along, that's where we're at today. Established in 2010, GiGi's Consignment Boutique is a mother and daughter owned boutique offering a blend of new boutique clothing as well as consigned designer labels. Located right here in the heart of downtown Belmont, their selection includes clothing, handbags, shoes, and jewelry, as well as new home furnishings. Today, I am glad to welcome to the show Gigi herself. Welcome, Grace.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, we're glad to be here with you. Thank you for allowing us into your store and actually coming in on your day off, because if this was not a day you were closed, this place would be full. There's always people walking around in here and hanging out in here. So thank you again for having us in here.
Oh, you're most welcome.
So let's get right into your story. We like to hear on Building Belmont, capture stories, create connection, and share information. And there's nothing like capturing a story behind the business. And I think that inherently creates a connection. I know that when I first met you, I instantly wanted to, purchase or invest in your story and in the company. And that's what we're really wanting to do with inspiring people to shop local. When they know Grace and they know her story, then they're inclined to engage with you, right? And so let's first and foremost talk about you and how you came to be here in Belmont, because it's my understanding that you're not from here, correct?
I am not. I'm from Maryland. My husband and I lived there for probably most of our lives, and then his job took him to Florida and then brought him to North Carolina. And we were settled in here for about 3.5 years. But during that time, I had a lot of thought and put a lot of prayer into opening a business. I wanted a business that was very welcoming to women, where I had the opportunity to have conversation and build relationships with them. I decided that that business would be best for me if it were consignment. The good thing about a consignment business is that your inventory comes to your customer. And so it's a very savvy, green thing to do. You're putting back into your customer's hands 40% of the profit on the sale of their clothes, which gives them an opportunity to go to the next thing or reinvest in your business through store credit. So it was a savvy, good business for me. So I began even walking the streets of Belmont, asking the Lord where that business might take place. And there was a little consignment store on the corner before Nellie's was formed there. And I thought maybe I should just do a booth. Maybe I should just get started somewhere. And the lady that I spoke to, Kathy, said, we have a room in the back that we could open for you and you could have your own front door. And I thought, that's perfect. That would be perfect. It was not a large space, but a sufficient space to get started. So I went to the Lord and I said, Father, I have the opportunity. So I need to know that I'm 150% in the center of your will, because this is more than business to me. I want to live the gospel in Belmont. And so I need to ask you for $5,000. I don't know how much this is going to cost, but I look to you. And if you will put that $5,000 in my hand, Lord, I'm going to open this business for your glory and our good. And he put that $5,000 in my hand. And it just so happened that my daughter Jessica had come home from Florida to live with us with her little Grace. And so I had an employee who was willing and ready. And so Jessica and I began GiGi's Consignment. We were there for about 1 year in that little space, and it was becoming overcrowded. It would be the proper way to say that. And that was the last thing that I wanted. Because one thing, I did not want volume. I really wanted to have a great shopping experience for our ladies, that it was their spot to bring their clothing and then to shop. So my husband came to me and he said, I think I know where your next spot is. And I said, really? He said, yeah, I prayed over it. I think it's John's Spy Tech. I said, really? I thought, what? On Main Street? So I thought, I should not laugh at that. I'm going to pray about that. And so I went to John. the owner of our space, and he said, "I'll think about it, Grace." And Kathy, the owner of the space from whom I was renting, just left. She said, "He'll never rent to you, Grace. He won't rent to anybody. That's John's space." So I waited a while and I came back and I said, "John, I'm like a bad penny just turning up again, but did you give any thought to renting space to me?" And he said, "Grace, I did. And I'm going to get back to you on that." Jessica called me and she said, "Mom, you'll never believe who just came into GiGi's and wants to talk to you and Dad. It's John. He's going to rent you some space." So the journey began here on 24 Main. John allowed us to rent half of his space. He was on the other side. After a year, John said, "How would you like the other side?" And I thought, "Oh my," actually. And so I prayed about that and we took the other side and John moved towards the back. But having said that, in the process of this transitional time, I had an acquaintance who had a business in Gastonia. And sadly, her business was going out. So she approached me about taking her inventory, and I said, "Well, really, I don't purchase clothing, but I do consign it." She said, "Grace, at this point, I'll consign with you." So I said, "Okay." So I took her inventory. So now we had the opportunity to offer our ladies new boutique clothing as well as gently worn consignment.
So you still held true to, I won't purchase your inventory, but I'll do consignment. So
Yes.
then what happened?
She was very pleased that I would do that because she was in a place where she needed to have her inventory somewhere. And I thought it was brilliant after we worked together because I was able to have new boutique clothing for our ladies as well as consigned clothing. And that worked. It was working out very well. And the good thing for her is that she got a ROI, return on her investment, rather than not. So she opened another posh boutique in South Park. Beautiful. And I'm very sad to say that that did not continue. So she came to me again. So here we went for round two. But the great thing about that was I was able to purchase mannequins from her, hangers, some accessories that just made our windows more attractive and appealing to people who passed by.
Is that one of hers there?
Yes, the white mannequins are from her.
Okay, they made an appearance. That's
Yes,
great.
they did, and it made the windows so much better than what I had before. And so there again, for her, she was so grateful to us that her inventory was being sold. She was receiving her monies back plus some. Surely not what she would have received if she herself had sold it in her boutique as far as profit margin. But it was a good investment for both of us to collaborate. So from there, we approached a few other boutiques. And so now we have other boutiques in different areas of North Carolina consigning with us as well, bringing in new inventory. So it's allowed us to have quite a nice blend.
And are you still 100% consignment at this point?
Yes, we are.
Wow.
Yes,
Wow.
yes, we really
to
are.
continue to hold on to that after over 12 years of being in business,
Yes.
there's a lot of conviction there, or has the model just been so successful that you said, "Hey, let's just continue in this path"?
Yeah, it has been successful for us, and the thing that I feel passionate about in the consignment business is that you're giving back, and this is about community in Belmont. And so for me, ladies are certainly helping our business to grow, but we're also giving them an opportunity to shop with us and turn over some really great clothing, one-of-a-kind pieces for other ladies to enjoy in the community or surrounding areas.
Yes. Well, the quality of what you keep here, I didn't know, probably just me missing details, that it was consignment because everything seems so new and is so nice, and it is. Obviously, the quality is very nice.
Thank
So
you.
going back then to your husband's job brought you here to North Carolina and here to Belmont, and then you had the heart to start the business. Was there ever a moment where you almost left North Carolina or had to leave, or when you got here you knew, okay, this is going to be the place? What ultimately kept you here, I guess, is what I'm asking. And did you ever think about going back to Florida or Maryland?
Actually, no. I'm not a Florida girl, for sure. I mean, it was a nice place to live, but I'm glad to live in North Carolina. My husband retired here, and so this is our home, and this is where we plan to stay. So I I found my joy button here. I I so enjoy what I do. I, I I love the interaction that I'm able to have with other women, and I feel like Jessica and I are a great team. I
Mhm.
couldn't do this without her. She's absolutely a backbone of this business, as well as my husband. We're a threefold team, and we've worked hard to be where we are today. And I will say that without them, GiGi's would not be here. I'm having the interview, but they are most important in the success of this business.
Well, I wanted to ask about that, Jessica being the systems and operations
Yes.
and a lot of behind the scenes, and it was almost on brand that she wasn't on the interview, but we're going to have her on next time to hear a bit of
Yes,
her
that would
story.
be
Tell
wonderful.
tell me about that team dynamic, because growing and building and sustaining a family owned and operated business is no easy feat. So it
It
sounds like
isn't.
you've been able to identify each of your strengths and how to walk in them. So what's the role of Grace and Jessica and your husband in the company?
Okay, my role, I would think my strength would be relationships, interacting with women, sales, and merchandising. I feel real passionate about that. Jessica does all the social media. She does the pricing, which I will tell you is time consuming, especially if you're dealing with luxury items. You have to be on point with that. You have to be sure that what you are selling to women are authentic. So that takes her time. She if it's lean on the floor here for some reason, we need an employee out here. Jessica's right here, front and center. So I would not be the lady on the computer in the back office, and she manages it perfectly. So
Mm.
that works so great for us. And my husband, he's the behind the scenes guy, but he does all of the accounting and keeping his wife on point on where we're going or where we might not be going, such as during the pandemic. And he
Yeah.
was so invaluable to me to give me the courage to continue,
Yes.
because that was a little bit scary time for all of us, really.
Absolutely. Well,
Sure.
thank you for mentioning the pandemic, because a big part of our first introduction here on Building Belmont is to get to know you, your story. And of course, we are still in the beginning stages of rebounding from that. I do think we are fully past it, Lord willing. But I
Yes.
did want to learn more about how local businesses did, how you continue to maintain your business during the pandemic, right? So obviously that was no easy feat. Tell me your story of how you weathered the storm and survive to come out on the other side and continue to thrive. What was your pandemic story, I guess?
Yes. Jessica was really the one who was very innovative in that and helped me a great deal. We did videos at home. We brought luxury handbags home, and so we sat in the living room and chatted with our ladies. And then she did videos in the stores, selling videos where you could buy from us uh, online or through the video. One really innovative, cool thing that she did, and the suggestion came through my son in law. He said, Jessica, your mannequins are great. Why don't you put a barcode out there and they can shop your windows? Well, lo and behold, that actually worked.
Wow.
And I believe it was 46 picked us up. Forgive me if I don't have the right person there. And they actually did a live video of us, how they thought that that was so ingenious during a pandemic to do something like that. So it got
Brilliant.
us a little TV coverage.
Yes.
And that was all a credit to Jessica and, of course, Jason's suggestion to her. It was lean. It was very lean. The doors were closed for about 3 months. And of course, rent needed to be paid and all of those things. But I can say to you at the end of that time, when we were then able again to open our doors, it was absolutely the Lord who sustained us. And when I say that to you, I want to be really clear about one thing. This is not a prosperity gospel here. This is faith in a living God, and I'm nobody special. And when I say that, I know that I'm special to Him, but I don't ever want to relate to people that this is because of what I have done. I would say to you that I could, pardon me, take a curtsy for this, but the verse for this store, this business is, this is the Lord's doing, and it's marvelous in our eyes. And that's exactly what it is. And I'm not ashamed to say that, nor would I apologize for that. And so the real sustaining force in this business through that lean time was the Lord himself, guiding us and bringing us through.
Yeah. I heard a pastor say about a month ago, and it brought me to tears because
Yes.
it's, you know, how some people of faith are accused of using Jesus as a crutch or God as a
Yes.
crutch. And the pastor said, you know, that's so wrong because Jesus is my stretcher. You
That's
know,
what
I
it
didn't
is.
lean on him. He carried me out, and it wrecked me all the
That,
way home. I was still in tears, you know, kind of just fighting back the tears a little bit. But, you know, telling my wife, you know, that is so true that he doesn't just, we don't just lean on him.
that's
He
right.
really carries us and sustains us.
Yes, he
And I love that
does.
about your story. And we, of course, being mindful, having a personal relationship with you now, we always want to be mindful
Yes.
of everyone's faith background, but also
Yes.
being willing
Yeah.
to own that and share that. I think that's very powerful because when you build your business on faith, knowing that, you know, every
Yes.
morning, God, if you don't show up, I'm going to do what I have to do. But if you
Yes.
don't show up, I don't know what's going to happen, or I don't know if we're going to make it. Right? That
Yes.
is, it actually brings you more power than helplessness. You know,
It
I'm the kind of
does.
person that wants to control everything, but
Yes.
the days where I
Yes.
surrender and say, God, if you don't show up, you know,
That's right.
I don't know what's going to happen, actually makes me feel more powerful because I'm operating in his strength. And so that
Absolutely.
sounds like that was the undertone and continues to be the mission behind GiGi's, which actually I learned something today right before we hit record about the
Yes.
name GiGi's because people think
Yes.
it's Grace and it's your name, but it
Yes.
actually isn't. Tell us the story behind the name.
It isn't. Gigi, the name came to mind to do because I'm a Gigi to 12, GI to 12. But I didn't want GI for the logo because GG is God's grace that he extended to me and to this business. And that's what I want to extend to the people in this community. Um, Kindness, understanding, some encouragement. Sometimes there's ladies, and it's sweet. They'll come and say, "I just needed a hug today, Gigi." And you know, if that's not a sale, that's just fine by me. If I encourage someone, if it made their day a little lighter, because there are people all around us carrying burdens, and so I want to have an open door for that
Yeah.
with our customers, and really, some of our customers have become good friends now over the years, and that's really been special.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
There's such a beautiful story behind that. And that's what I
Thank you.
found in continuing to meet people here in Belmont, that every
Yes.
person, and every person in general has a story, but
Yes.
everything around here is very intentional. And so even you
Yes.
creating that place that people know that if they're just walking through downtown and they want to stop in and say hello and have a conversation,
Yes.
have their day brightened, that they can come in
Yes.
here and that happens. And so
Absolutely.
with coming through the pandemic, a lot of community support or local businesses were calling on the community, or the community felt a responsibility to local business to support. So how did you see the community rally around you and GiGi's during the pandemic?
Well, I tell you, there were some really exceptional things that happened to me. I had consigners who would say, "Gigi, we don't need the check for our clothing. We'd like you to put that back into your business." And I said, "Oh, but I could, no, Gigi, this is how we want it to be." Now, can you imagine the the blessing of your very own customer wanting to give back to your business in a time like that? I was overwhelmed, to
Yeah.
be honest. And you know, it was good for me to receive. You know, sometimes it's so much joy in giving, but there's so much grace in receiving, and knowing that it was uh, through a kind heart who wanted to give back and wanted to see the doors open again. And the community offered, the city that is, offered a loan, and I have never taken a loan for this business. It has been a faith-based business, but my husband advised me to do differently, so I did. And I, after a time, opened the door. My husband and I had a conversation, and he said, "I have some good news for you, and I have some bad news for you. The bad news is that you've lost a lot of money that you will not recoup." And he said, "But that's every business. This is where we are. And, you know, thankfully your door was open, and somehow you managed to flatline." And I said, "Really?" And he said, "You absolutely did." He said, I'm a bit amazed by it, but you did." And so I said, I want to give that money back to the city. And he said, I didn't say the pandemic was over and you were going to have great success. And I said to my husband, Ron, I appreciate your advice, but God gave me $5,000 in a recession to open GiGi's. And you just told me that I flatlined in a pandemic. So I choose to trust him. And I gave that money back. And here we are having this conversation. So you know that he is faithful.
Absolutely.
Absolutely faithful to us.
And when you say flatline, you mean you broke even?
Yes.
You were good.
There was we didn't make a profit for some time. Really, you're trying to regroup from that as all of our businesses here on Belmont we're facing the same thing.
Yes, yes.
Absolutely.
Well, I am hoping that as people hear this story, that it doesn't even matter if they need anything or want to buy anything, that they want to come in here and engage with you and know that they're giving to that story or being a part of that story. And so being able to create this and share that story here on the platform. And then there's also the legacy elements of it that we really align on, that legacy element of being able to capture your story here in this time. And forever it will be here on this platform for your grandkids and great-grandkids and great-great-grandkids to come back in this time and spend the time. I want them to think like they're sitting on the other side of that camera getting to hear your story. Thank you for your faith and continued belief to build this, so that way you can share that story and inspire other entrepreneurs and even faith-based or not faith-based businesses to step out on faith and do what they feel called to do. And so I wanted to transition over to something that just happened. So it was the Style Up Belmont Fashion Show, which again, back to, hey, we want to show God's grace and extend God's grace. Tell me about, obviously the fashion show was a huge success. Tell me about how that came to be and the purpose behind the fashion show, because although we missed promoting it this time on the platform, I want people to be looking forward to it next time.
Thank you so much for that. About maybe 8 years or more, I'm not sure, I began praying for a nonprofit, and Eagle's Wings was the choice that we made. It's for human trafficking. They rescue and restore girls from 12 to 21 years old. Being a mother of 8, 5 daughters and 3 sons, and a Gigi to 6 boys and 6 girls, I feel really passionate about protecting children, young people. And it is a horrific thing that's happening among us, and it's a very difficult conversation to have. So we decided one way that we could give back was a fashion show. And so this was our second. The goal that we had is that it would be in Belmont, that we could come together as a community and give back and inform others of their need, as well as the need in society to be aware and safeguard our children. So we approached the boutiques this year, and they were more than willing. They gave their time, their talent, their monies to invest in this fashion show. They are marvelous women to work with. It was such smooth sailing, you knew it had to be divine. We just collaborated so well. And of course, I wouldn't leave Mark out, because he was so gracious, put men on the runway. He had our hosts, our MCs, again this year, who did such a great job. And it was just a wonderful, successful event, one that we hope to do yearly. I think that the thing that we have in Belmont that I treasure is a sense of community. This is a place where you want to come and you want to spend the day. There's a beautiful park for children to play in. There's fabulous shopping for women. I mean, we covered the runway. If there was a style we missed it, because I didn't see it. And the restaurants are just fantastic. So it was a great opportunity to style up Belmont, and I hope we did that successfully.
I love that. Well, I love being able to take the industry that you exist in, obviously fashion and beauty, and connect it to such an amazing cause. So the nonprofit, the name is On Eagle's Wings?
Yes, it is.
And what's the mission of the nonprofit?
They rescue and restore young women who have been involved in human trafficking.
Okay.
It is very prevalent today, and they have some great success stories, some that are not. But their recent success story is that a young woman. One thing that we do that I didn't mention is we have their products here. When they're in a safe house, they can't go outside to work and earn monies of sorts. So they make products, and it's 100% give back to them. And through that, they save and earn money. And recently, one of their young women has enrolled in college and is going to begin a new journey.
Wow.
And so they are marvelous, committed women there of restoring these young women after some horrific events in their young lives.
Well, that's an amazing cause, and I will link on Eagle's Wings in the notes. So if anyone wants to engage with that nonprofit, you can engage with it there in the notes section of your favorite podcast platform or on YouTube. Is that a local nonprofit? Where's that nonprofit headquartered?
It's in Charlotte, and they have a website, and you can even purchase their products from the website if you so desire.
That's amazing.
So yes.
Okay. Well, we will absolutely
Thank you for
share that. And a big part of that is, one, it's a beautiful cause, but again, being able to in any way find a connection point. We don't know if there's someone listening here that owns a business that maybe wants to do something like you did with Style at Belmont and give back to that cause. And so again, it's just about connection. And
it is.
You see that a lot, like you mentioned here in Belmont, that people are so loving and supportive. And I've shared this before. I'll share it again. If I didn't have the people around me here in this community, specifically Summer Wilson, Preston Wilson, John Logan, and others that saw something in me and said, Keanu, you can do this. I wouldn't have started my business. I thought I needed to wait until I had, gray hair, and it would have been a gray beard since I don't have any hair up here. But it was really the community that surrounds you. And so being able to now give back in this way, I love to be able to capture your story.
Thank you.
And create connection to you. And so now, looking ahead, we'll close with this. What do you want people to know about your store, or about coming in and seeing you, or just feel free to welcome them in?
Yes. Well, before I say that, I'd like to be added to your list. You are a gift to Belmont. You are a gentleman of gentlemen. When I first met you, I was so impressed by your kindness. One thing I admire about you so much, because it's a weakness in me, and that's your ability to listen and to hear a story, but really listen to the story. And you do that very well. So I want to say thank you to you today.
Thank you.
For being a part of this community and doing what you're doing. As far as coming through those doors, I will be so delighted to see you. We hope that you have a wonderful shopping experience, that you know that you're important to us. If we can help in any way with your style or changing your style, we love to do that. We're so grateful for our ladies who consign with us. And the one key thing that I do is I want quality clothing, not volume. And I think our ladies in Belmont have enjoyed that very much. And we'll continue to do that. And we'll continue to do our utmost for His highest.
Yes. Well, see, we're getting a phone call right now and don't worry about it. We're going to leave it right in there. People have, as we've been sitting here, they've been trying to come through the front door. They're calling, even on a day off, people want to engage with you. And I think that's a true testament to your heart and the way that you bring people in, that they want to continue to come back. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your service to Belmont and to everything that you're a part of, and then also for the kind words. I really do appreciate that.
You are most welcome.
We will be having more conversations to come. This was just an introduction, and I want to continue to build the relationship in any way that you can leverage the platform, or any way you need us to support you. I'm a call away.
Yes, thank you so very much. This was an honor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Building Belmont podcast. I'm your host, Keanu Trujillo, reminding you to subscribe, rate, and review on your favorite podcast platform. Be sure to like and subscribe if you're watching us on YouTube. And of course, share with a friend, share with a neighbor. We'll see you again next week as we capture more stories, create more connection, and share more information here on the Building Belmont podcast.